Shalom, everyone. As spring is officially, according to our liturgy here, I wanted to bring this new song called Amok Batal, and I want to do a little teach so we can all sing it together. So repeat after me. Amok, Amok Batal, give
the words are on your order service.
Amok, Amok Batal, Amok, Amok Batal, poem levavi, try that. Amok, Amok Batal, poem levavi. Beautiful, let's try the whole thing. Amok, Amok Batal, Amok, Amok Batal, poem levavi. Tzenem ale kochavim, reach tisheim dovevim. Amok, Amok Batal, Amok, Amok Batal, poel levavi. Hine pamecha klevim, yidu rivot rivivim.
You know this.
Amok, Amok Batal, Amok, Amok Batal, poel levavi. Tzenem ale kochavim, reach tisheim dovevim. Amok, Amok Batal, Amok, Amok Batal, poel levavi. Amok, Amok Batal, Amok, Amok Batal, poel levavi.
Beautiful. Shabbat Shalom
Shabbat Shalom.
and Chag Sameach, happy Passover. You know it's spring, not just by those parsley on the Seder plate, but also because of the seasonal shift we signal with beautiful music like this Amok Batal, this deep dew. No longer are we going to be praying for a downpour of rain, but instead dewdrops, gentle, consistent nourishment for our harvest, and I think also for our spiritual selves. My name is Andrew Kaplan Mandel. I am one of the rabbinic interns here at Central Synagogue, and I am honored to be joining Rabbi Dan Ross, Rabbi Angela Bookdahl, Cantor Jenna Pearsall, and our cantorial intern Beth Reinstein. We are overjoyed to be celebrating Shabbat with our musical team of musicians and singers led by David Strickland, our musical director. We also want to thank our shamashim who welcomed us as we came in, our ops team, which makes sure that we feel comfortable in this space, our security team that helps us feel safe, and our AV team that connects us here in the sanctuary and also online. I want to give a Laura Strauss wave to our live streamers and our neighbors all around the world who are with us this evening. I want to encourage reclining at this time. It's holiday appropriate if you are at home. And if you are at home, I want to invite you perhaps to text a friend a Shabbat Shalom while we here in the sanctuary turn off our phones and turn to someone you don't know and greet them before we continue our service. are blessed tomorrow to celebrate the adult benot mitzvah of several of our central members. Joining us to light candles here in the sanctuary are Emma Esty McLaughlin and Betsy Miller, and we are joined via Zoom by Jerry Friedman. Amen. If you were cooking or cleaning for Passover, I imagine that you in particular are very excited for Shabbat and some rest. So let's make our way there with some festival psalms, starting with Lehu Neranena, found on your order of service.
Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai lai la lai lai la lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai la lai lai. Lai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Lehu neranena l'Adonai, naria lesor yishenu, dekad mafanav b'todah, b'smirot naria lo, b'smirot naria lo. Yai lai la lai lai la lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai lai la lai lai la lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai. Yai lai la lai lai la lai.
We continue our ease into Shabbat with Hariu, also on our order of service.
Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Just lai lai.
Elijah visits us once a year, I hope that the Shabbat Queen gets frequent flyer miles for her weekly visit. We will welcome her with the excitement of fans waiting for a rock star at the airport. L'Chadodi is on page 20. It is our custom to sing verses 1, 2, 5, and then rise on verse 9 in body or in spirit as Shabbat enters the arrival gate of our congregation. Call each other to prayer with the Baruch Hu on page 146.
Come all of you. bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Do 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 do. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses.
You may be seated. Please join with me in the Hebrew on 147. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokhma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem berakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzivaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv aravim.
What do you call Passover in Hebrew? Pesach, we mere mortals use this term, which means to pass over in recognition of God's care and protection during that deadly 10th plague. But in the Torah, God calls it Chag HaMatzot, the festival of matzah, perhaps in recognition of the Israelites' trust and loyalty in God. After all, the Israelites didn't know exactly where they were going or whether they would be fed. So while we treat Passover as an epic drama of freedom, it is also a love story between God and the Jewish people, a love story whose vows we renew each week on Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'otecha ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher nochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levadnecha ve'dibarta bam Beshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha v'derech u'shofmecha uvkumecha u'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotavot bein einecha uchtavtam amezuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The ultimate double portion on Shabbat is Mi Chamocha on Passover. Our freedom song can be found on page 152.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh norah tehilot osef eleh malechutecha ra'uvanecha borkei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze'eli anu ve'amru ze'eli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
As we reflect on the enduring need for freedom, many of us remember leaving an empty seat at our Seder tables for Soviet-era Jewish refugees who yearned to escape from communist rule. This week, we reserved a chair for the son of refuseniks, Evan Gershkovich, a Wall Street Journal reporter who was thrown into a notorious Russian prison after being falsely accused of espionage. In his honor, and in honor of all of those who seek safety and solace at a time of danger and fear, we sing Hashkivenu, found on our order of service.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I say, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all come around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that they don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu lishalom ve'hamidenu Eloheinu lishalom ve'hamidenu Eloheinu lishalom ve'hamidenu
We rise in body or spirit as we turn to the Amidah on page 155.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Meitim, Atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chayim bechesed, Mechayei Meitim berachamim rabin, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha bar gevurot, U'emidom elach, Melech mebit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hametim. Atah kadosh shemcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue with the words on the page or the words in our heart. You can remain seated or standing as is your custom.
יפתי קומי לך קומי לך קומי לך רעייתי יפתי קומי לך
As we sat in our Passover Seders this week, we celebrated the gift of freedom and liberation. But for many of us who are struggling with physical or mental illness, it is hard to feel free. We feel like we are in the narrow places of uncertainty, failing health, pain. I spoke with someone this week who has recently been given a very difficult diagnosis, and she said, I have 3 options, and they're all bad. Now, she could have very reasonably been in a very bitter and narrow place, but instead she said to me, I feel so much gratitude for the life that I've had, for family and friends who've been so attentive and loving. It reminded me that we humans can really endure so much as long as we don't have to do it alone. So let us together, metaphorically and literally, take out our outstretched hands for those who are still in those narrow places and offer them our love, our prayers of healing, our comfort, our presence. We were thinking of Jerry Shapiro from our community and those that you would name in this moment for a prayer of healing. May God bring a refuah shlema. We join together in our Mishaberach prayer for healing, which is found in your order of service.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy.
And because because every one of us has known that narrow place. We really particularly appreciate whatever is beautiful and blossoming and renewed in our lives, whether it's a small thing that you're thinking of this week or something very big and important. So if I name something you are celebrating, I invite you to please rise until hopefully all of us, either in body or spirit, are rising together. Perhaps you are becoming an adult benot mitzvah this week, or your family is here to celebrate with you. We'll invite you to stand with you. We say mazel tov to you. Jerry, we are thinking of you, and we know you're there in Florida, and you'll be with us. The miracles of live streaming. If you are celebrating a birthday this week, I have 4 birthdays in my family in 6 days this week, or an anniversary perhaps. This is a wonderful thing we say, mazel tov to you. We're glad that you're here. Yes, a lot of birthdays in your family too, Swordlex. You can stand. Happy birthday. And if you are visiting for the first time, to Central Synagogue, we'd love to acknowledge you and say we're so happy that you're here and welcome. And we hope the people around you will say Shabbat Shalom to you and welcome. If you are perhaps Rabbi Michael Friedman, who used to be a rabbi of Central Synagogue, with your beautiful children, wife, and mom here, I invite you to rise and we say welcome back. It was really great to see you. And if you are, we are often naming sporting events that people get excited about, like the Yankees or something. But this week, rarely do women's sports make as much excitement as they did this week. So if you happen to watch the NCAA championship, whichever team you are rooting for, I invite you to rise. If you were grateful that you got to celebrate Passover this week, perhaps with our central community or with family or with friends, I invite you to rise. If you feel just grateful for something that you're saying in the quiet of your heart, we invite you to rise as we offer our prayer of gratitude.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Please remain standing as we bring our Torahs out into the community.
דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. מי זאת עולה מן המדבר? מי זאת עולה? מקוצרת מאוד, מור ולבונה, מור ולבונה. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. ליבבתיני אחותי קלה, ליבבתיני קלה. ליבבתיני אחותי קלה, ליבבתיני קלה. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. אורי צפון ובואי תימן. אורי צפון ובואי תימן. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא
Shoshanim. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the night. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would march to freedom and to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
Please be seated.
The first Seders I can remember attending were in my grandparents' home. My mom will tell you that she knew I was going to be a rabbi when I was 5 years old, and I ran to grab a pillow from the living room to bring to the table because I just had to recline at the Passover Seder, just like the Haggadah said to. So I don't remember that moment, but I do remember that one of my favorite parts of the Seder was, of course, opening the door for Elijah the prophet. And I remember racing back to the table to check his cup. And I remember being shocked to find that it was empty. And all the grown-ups swore that Elijah had really come and that I had just missed him. Legends of Elijah the prophet abound. We tell countless tales of him hiding in plain sight, wandering the world under many guises, helping Jews in times of need. The stranger who finds your wallet, the runner who stops to help you carry your groceries. I've even heard a rabbi swear that his carriage driver in Central Park was Elijah the prophet. Something about a brand new horse and an Israeli accent. This Shabbat of Passover, I want to share one of these legends with you because it's one of my favorites and because I think it has an important message for us for this season. Once there was a man, like me, who really wanted to meet Elijah the prophet, and he had heard that the Baal Shem Tov, the great founder of Hasidism, knew where to find him. So the man went to the Baal Shem Tov and asked him, "Where can I find Elijah?" The Baal Shem Tov smiled and said, "It's simple. Passover is coming up next week. This is what you must do. Go and get 2 boxes. One of the boxes you will fill with children's clothes and toys, and the other you will fill with all of the necessities for a Seder. A Seder plate, matzah, maror, a shank bone, and a true Passover feast. Then, on the first night of Passover, you will go to the outskirts of town. There you will find a rickety old house. Once you find that house, stand outside the front door. but don't knock right away. Stand there for a moment and just listen. Then, right before sunset, knock on the door and ask for hospitality." So the man did just as the Baal Shem Tov had said. He found 2 boxes and filled them exactly as he had been instructed. He even went to the silversmith and purchased a beautiful new Seder plate just for the occasion. He was finally going to meet Elijah the prophet. The night of the first Seder, he took those 2 boxes to the edge of town and he found the rickety old house. He arrived just before sundown and stood outside the front door and listened. Inside the house, he heard several children crying. "Mommy, we're hungry, and it's almost Passover. We have no food for the Seder, and our clothes are in tatters. We have nothing nice to wear for this holiday." And the man heard their mother answer, "Don't worry, children. God will send us Elijah the prophet to see to everything that we need." Upon hearing the mother speak, the man grew very excited. He knew he was in the right place to meet Elijah. So he knocked on the door. And when the woman opened it, he asked if he could join them for the holiday. Her face fell. "Oh, we won't be having a Seder tonight," she said. "We have no plates, no matzah, no meal." "Don't worry," the man said. "I have everything we need for the Seder right here in this box. And in this one, I have new clothes and toys for the children." She smiled and looked at her children and said, "Well, in that case, we do have an extra chair. Of course you can join us. Thank you so much for your generosity." The Seder was the most marvelous the man had ever attended. The family's smiles glowed brighter than the festival candles. The children sang like angels. Even the maror tasted a little less bitter, and the matzah a little less like matzah. This was a Seder fit for Elijah the prophet. The man waited in great anticipation for the moment he knew was coming, when the children would get up from the table to open the door for Elijah. And when they got up, he nearly leapt from his chair himself. As the children ran to the door, he saw their mother motion toward the cup that had been set aside for Elijah. He politely declined. This was Elijah's wine. So she quickly sipped from it herself. And as the children ran back to the table, the man noticed, much to his dismay, that no one was with them. They asked, "Did Elijah come?" "Yes," their mother said. "You can see that he drank his wine." The man was miffed. Elijah had not come. He had come all this way for nothing. That evening after the Seder, he kindly bid farewell to the family and returned home crestfallen. The next morning, the man went back to the Baal Shem Tov, and he told him what had happened. "And you didn't see Elijah?" the Baal Shem Tov asked. "I did not," said the man. "And you did everything that I told you to do?" "I did." "Well," said the Baal Shem Tov, "it's simple. You will have to do the same thing again and return tonight for the second Seder." So the man spent the day filling 2 boxes like before, and he trekked out to the edge of town. He arrived at the same house, stood at the same front door, and he listened once more. Again, he heard the children crying. "Mommy, it's so sad. We had such a nice first Seder. Now we have nothing for the second." And then he heard the mother answer, "Children, don't you remember you were crying yesterday? And I told you, don't worry. God will send us Elijah the prophet to see to everything that we need. Wasn't I right? Didn't Elijah come and bring us new clothes and toys and a perfect, beautiful, delicious Seder. I promise Elijah will return to us tonight as well. Then the man understood, and he smiled, and he knocked on the door. This Passover, during this season of hope and renewal, let us remember that Elijah the prophet walks among us, because each of us is a miracle waiting to happen, because we too can bring the feast, we too can wait at the door, we too can make dreams come true, so long as we pause and listen. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.
For the honor of the Aliyah, we'd love to call up Rabbi Michael Friedman and his family, including George and Goldie, even if you're not quite of age yet, but we want to see you, so come on up. And we will be reading
Exodus chapter 33, verses 12 through 16.
Thank you, which is found on your Plout Torah commentaries in front of you or under your seat, page 657. Oh, yeah. And you want me to look at that? Okay. Oops. You guys ready?
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayomer Moshe el Adonai re'eh ata omer elai ha'al et ha'am hazeh ve'ata lo hodatani et asher tishlach imi ve'ata amarta yedaticha b'shem ve'gam atztachen be'enai ve'ata imna matzati chen be'einecha hodeni na et derachecha ve'aedacha lema'an amtzechen be'einecha ure'ei ki amcha hagoy hazeh vayomar panai elechu והנחותי לך. ויאמר אליו, אם אין פניך הולכים, אל תעלנו מזה. ובמה יוודע אפוא, כי מצאתי חן בעיניך אני ועמך, הלא בלכתך עמנו, ונפלינו אני ועמך מכל העם אשר על פני האדמה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Welcome back. Thanks for honoring us tonight with your beautiful family. Please rise. Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai We continue with Aleinu in the middle of page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated.
ויתקדש שמי רבה.
I share Passover Reflections by Mark Green. In the picture I saw, he's pushing his grandmother in a wheelbarrow out of Kosovo. She doesn't look so good, his grandma, and he is more tired than anyone I've ever known has ever been. Not even the Lamed Vavniks, the 36 righteous ones whose actions sustain the world, must work that hard. Whoever saves a human life saves an entire world, and you can do it with a wheelbarrow if you have to. This is how redemption happens in the real world. Dog-tired, trudging through icy fields past barren trees. It's always been this way. Somewhere, almost out of sight of Moses, struggling at the back of the throng, is an ancestor of ours with some ancestor of the wheelbarrow, taking his grandma across the Red Sea. Egypt is still with us, huge and real, teeming with those waiting to be redeemed. And the Red Sea parts so seldom. The world is crowded with so many places where the bread doesn't have time to rise. So many times when the promised land is a lamp on a table next to a bed in a little room with heat somewhere safe. Adonai, may they all get there, all of them, redeemed, unharmed, next year in Jerusalem, or maybe even sooner. We think of our loved ones who've labored, who've carried us through on their wheelbarrow, passed through the sea with us, who are no longer here on earth, but we think of them in these moments. We think of those whom death has taken recently from our Central Synagogue community. Philip Basser, Paul Corwin, Robert Davis, Michael Gerber, Edith Rosenwald Goldman, Michael Grunebaum, Norma Hirsch, Debbie Lang, Sarah Leese, Wally Musaf, Floyd Runninghawk, Madeline Scheitkin, David Siegel, Pamela Swerdlick, Janet Doris Tur, and those whose yahrzeits occur at this season: Seth Abrams, Natalie Appel, Herbert Burdow, Eleanor Klott, Ira Konstad, Lois Conway, Stephen Edwards, Norman Ember, Eric Emery, Mark Epstein, Alvin Ferens, Michael Franklin, Norma Friedman, Ethel Gabriel, Edward Gardner, Stanley Garrell, Victor Gleidenhouse, Irving Goldman, Louis Goldstein, Jack Gorman, Puri Grossfeld, Walter Gruber, Karen Grun, Leonard Haber, Harriet Halperin, Ruth Halpern, Dolly Heifetz, Herbert Heller, Renata Gross Horowitz, Amy Ingber, Seymour Isaacman, Martin Jacobs, Jules Jacobson, Abraham Kalish, Miriam Kirschenberg, Charles Kirschner, Gail Klebanoff, Joy Klein, Hetty Kravis Ruger, Joyce Lackman, Marion Lackow, Samuel Lehman, Robert Lerner, Matilda Lipton, Roger Madoff, William Mayer, Harry Marvin, Harry Miller, Judith Mizrahi, Saul Naines, Edith Nasonson, Max Orenberg, Zola Rawson, Rose Roth, Max Saslow, Robert Slifke Saunders, Jesse Shantz, Ruth Shantz, Lee Schoenhout, Norman Siegel, Piri Sherman, Lee Sherwood, Barbara Carol Sickman, Hi Smilo, Zoila Elena Sotella, Maury Spanier, Rose Starr, Nettie Steiner, Henry Steinhardt, Ronald Stone, Robert Swidler, Estelle Taylor, Ruth Tepperberg, Gail Tulchin, Mildred Weaver, Toby Weiner, Lawrence Weisberg, Victor Wygotsky, Harold Wolfson, Ruth Younger. Those that you might name in the quiet of your own hearts as well. If you are in Shiva the first 7 days of mourning, we invite you to rise so we may acknowledge you as a mourner. If you are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning a loved one, we invite you to rise. If you are in Shana, the first year of mourning a loved one, we invite you to please rise. And if you're observing a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one's death this evening, we invite you to rise. May the memories of your loved ones be an abiding blessing. We rise with you as one community of fellowship and comfort, turning to the words of Kaddish Tome on page 294. We share together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom, shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Thank you for joining us for this special Shabbat and festival, and we hope that you will continue to join us. We have beautiful adult Benot Mitzvah tomorrow at our Mishkan service tomorrow morning. We hope you'll join us at 9:30. And for Yizkor at the end of the holiday. We join together in closing out Shabbat with Kaddish. If we have any, I know we have at least a few kids under the age of bar bat mitzvah, we'd love to have you come up. And if you want to bring your parents with you, that's also totally great. We'll join together in Kiddush and Motzi. I know it's not as appealing when you don't get challah, you just get more matzah. But still, we'd love to see you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Borei Peri Hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh. Zecher letzion Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim. Ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchatanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Even though it's just challah under here, matzah under here, I do want to point out that we have the most beautiful matzah cover that was needle pointed for us by Nancy Fisher. So I wanted to just point that out. It's so beautiful, so you can see. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Not a lot of takers. Okay. Thank you.
It's a bit deflating compared to our usual challah.
We join in a closing song that brings together messages of freedom from different traditions. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. They'll be singing. They'll be singing. They'll be singing. They'll be singing over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.